Have you ever really thought about a series of photos, not just as separate pictures, but as like a text you can actually read? A story that kind of unfolds frame by frame? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to dive into a sequence of images from one single event, and we're going to try to uncover the hidden story of the street, to watch how a space and what it means can totally transform right in front of our eyes. So, our story kicks off just like any good play would, by setting the scene. We're looking at this city street not just as a place, but as a stage. You can almost feel it, right? It's buzzing with this collective energy, totally poised for something big to happen. This is our first act, the urban stage. Okay, think of this image as our big establishing shot. I mean, look closely at what's going on here. You've got this incredible, imposing architecture that's basically framing the whole scene. Then you have this massive crowd packed onto the sidewalks, and you can just feel that energy, that anticipation. And yet, the street itself, it's wide open. It's an empty stage, just brimming with potential, holding all the promise of whatever's about to unfold. So here's the key thing to grasp. Our main subject, our initial object here, it isn't a single person or a building. No, it's the space itself, this collective public space. It's almost like a living, breathing organism, right? A huge, shared body of people all connected in this one moment of waiting, of just waiting. This is our baseline. This is where the story starts. All right, let's move into our second act. Because, that empty stage, it doesn't stay empty for very long. All of a sudden, a kind of procession of vehicles starts to roll through. And what's fascinating is that each one tells a totally different story about all the different layers of life in a modern city. And first up, we get this, a double-decker tourist bus. Now, this is a brilliant illustration of one of the city's main functions, which is to be a spectacle. The folks on this bus, they're observers. They're literally consuming the city with their eyes. Their presence turns the city into a kind of product, something that's packaged and sold to an outside audience, totally separate from the crowd that's actually on the street. And right on the heels of that tourist bus, we get these huge semi-trucks. And these are such a powerful reminder that even while a big public celebration is going on, the economic engine of the city, it never ever stops. This is the city at work. You've got commerce, logistics, the constant movement of goods. It's literally the lifeblood flowing through the city's arteries, a whole other layer of reality humming along right next to all the festive vibes. And then there's this, the public city bus. Now, this is totally different from the tourist bus or the commercial trucks, isn't it? This vehicle represents the everyday pulse of the city. We're talking about the routine, the daily commute, the ordinary lives of the people who lived here. And just look at that incredible backdrop, the Palacio de Bellas Artes. It's just such a beautiful contrast, the monumental and the mundane sharing the exact same space. Okay, so we've seen the big picture stuff, the large-scale machinery of the city, but now let's shift our focus. Our third act zooms way in, down to the human scale. We're going to look at the individuals who really bring this public space to life, but in some very, very different ways. Wow, just look at this incredible explosion of color. The balloon vendor, he is the absolute perfect symbol of that informal economy that just springs to life whenever there's a big public gathering. This isn't planned commerce, right? This is totally spontaneous, individual enterprise. And really, he's not just selling balloons. He's selling joy. He's selling a tangible little piece of the celebration itself. And then we have the counterpoint, a group of uniformed police officers. Their presence is just such a stark contrast to the kind of chaotic, vibrant joy of the balloon vendor. They represent the formal structures of the state, the systems of order and security and control that have the job of managing this whole massive public event. So we've seen all these different acts play out, the stage, the machines, the people. What's the takeaway here? What's the moral of our visual story? Let's try to pull all of these observations together into one big idea about the city itself. This slide right here really sums up the whole transformation we've just watched. We started with this open space of shared collective waiting, and what we end up with is something way more complex, a multi-layered space of managed flow. It becomes a place where tourism, commerce, everyday life, the informal economy, and state control are all happening at the exact same time. The space has literally evolved from one single shared experience into a system of parallel realities. This whole act of observing and capturing all these layers of the street, it really places this photo series right in the great tradition of street photography. The legendary Henri Cartier-Bresson, he talked about aligning the head, the eye, and the heart. And that is precisely what's going on here. It's an intellectual, a visual, and an emotional understanding of one single fleeting moment in the life of a city. So why does any of this really matter? Well, it matters because this visual story taps directly into a huge conversation we are having right now all over the world about our cities. We're constantly debating how to use our public spaces. How do we balance that spontaneous joy with the needs of commerce and security? These photos, they aren't just a record of something that happened once. They document a fundamental tension that defines the modern urban experience. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. The next time you find yourself in a crowd on a busy city street, what are you going to choose to see? Will you focus on the individual faces in the crowd, the flow of commerce, or the structures that are trying to keep it all in order? The story is always there, just waiting to be read. You just have to know how to look.